year 1968, one of the greatest and most influential hard rock bands began their music journey. Led Zeppelin was born after the group known as the Yardbirds, one of London's most influential and successful bands throughout the 60s, split up. The guitarist for the Yardbirds, a man named Jimmy Page, immediately focused on getting a new group of musicians together. The first person he and Yardbirds bassist Chris Dreja recruited was vocalist Terry Reid, who was unable to join the group, but Reid advised him to recruit the vocalist from the band Hobsweedle, better known as Robert Plant. Page then went to hear him sing and invited him to join. Plant joined the group around the same time that Dreja left, which led Page to invite multi-instrumentalist John Paul Jones to play bass. Jones was a London session musician just like Page, and the two knew each other before the band came together. Seeing that there was still no drummer, Plant encouraged Page to reach out to John Bonham, who was the drummer for Plant's old group, the Band of Joy. After about a month, Bonham took up Page's offer, despite having others that were worth more money. Once the four of them were all together, they signed a contract with Atlantic Records for record-setting money. The deal was attained with the help of former Yardbirds manager Peter Grant. Early in 1969, the band began touring and advertising the imminent release of their first album. In late January, Led Zeppelin released their self-titled debut album, featuring hard rock hits like Good Times, Bad Times and Dazed and Confused. In 2 months, it climbed all the way into the top 10 in the United States, and the band proceeded to ride on their success and tour non-stop. While they traveled, they finished and released their second album, Led Zeppelin II, which was another bombshell due to sounds like Page's driving guitar riff in Whole Lotta Love and John Paul Jones' smooth bass licks in Ramble On. The album stayed at number 1 in America for 7 weeks, and the band once again toured endlessly. Upon releasing their first 2 works, they became an international sensation, which were unique compositions primarily of hard rock and blues. Despite that, the band experimented with different sounds on their third album, Led Zeppelin III, which was released late in 1970. The hard rock sound was still very present, especially in Immigrant Song, but most of the songs included a mix of hard rock and British folk. This made their third album sound more refined than the previous 2, and it reached the top spot on the US and UK charts. However, it did not sell as well as the first 2 and failed to earn a platinum certificate in the UK. Led Zeppelin proceeded to tour less than before, but this set the stage for the preparation of their next work, Led Zeppelin IV. Even though Led Zeppelin III didn't deliver like the previous 2 did, the band almost immediately got to work on their 4th album. They left the album untitled and returned to their roots of hard rock. Led Zeppelin released it in 1971, a year after the release of the 3rd album. Despite being left untitled, it was widely referred to as Led Zeppelin IV and ended up being a huge success. It immediately ranked number 2 on the Billboard 200. As of 2021, the RIAA certified 24 million units sold, giving the album a 24-time platinum certification and even the coveted double diamond certification earlier in 1999. However, to better understand the importance of Led Zeppelin IV, we must examine the broader rock scene in the United States in the late 1960s and early 1970s. According to Andy Bennet, professor of cultural sociology at Griffith University, rock in that period opposed pop an idea that was embraced by many record labels. In addition, Bennet notes that critics and journalists believed that sincerity and authenticity were aligned with rock, while pop music was essentially effort, commercially driven music. On the other side of the music industry, the 1970s marked a period of technological advancement in studio technology. According to Bennet, this period was a turning point for rock, such that the recording studio became a space for creativity and experimentalism infused rock, with new discourses of artistic expression and authenticity. To the bands of the time, technological advancement allowed them to create music at their full potential, such that their records were of ideal, not real, events. Led Zeppelin IV perfectly encapsulates Bennett's points about US rock in the 1970s. Take Stairway to Heaven, for example. Its folk and blues rock qualities give the song the authenticity that many critics and fans expected at the time. Then, the tracks layer on top of each other when the song changes styles into rock and hard rock, a composition decision made possible by multi-track systems becoming more affordable in the 1970s. Fans and critics alike had an overwhelmingly positive response to the release of the album. Critics praised the musicianship, songwriting, and production of the album, and fans responded positively. Immediately after the release of Led Zeppelin IV, the band was on top of the rock and roll world, but it wasn't all good news. The band received criticism for their alleged appropriation of music from many African American blues artists. In a critical analysis of Led Zeppelin's blues influence, it is, their first 4 albums represented the climax of their international success, which inevitably altered the intimacy of blues through their exploitation of rich tradition of songs and musical styles comprising the blues. Consequently, their alleged impact on blues music was investigated and discussed at odds by critics. They argue whether Led Zeppelin's artistic and commercial magnitude undermined the blues tradition or represented a means of promoting this genre. David Hatch and Stephen Millward assert that not only did Led Zeppelin's stardom overshadow the blues culture, but it also assured their white supremacy in the music industry. Led Zeppelin IV starts off strong with Black Dog, one of the band's most famous works. It's widely known for its iconic guitar riff, which was actually developed by John Paul Jones and not Jimmy Page. Next is Rock and Roll, a hard-rocking 12-bar blues with a high-speed drum intro that John Bonham based off of Little Richard's Keep a Knockin'. The first folk rock song on the album, The Battle for Evermore, is a deeper track that features Page on the mandolin and Jones on acoustic guitar. It would be impossible to talk about Led Zeppelin IV without mentioning Stairway to Heaven, the hard and folk rock epic that some consider the single greatest song of all time. The 8-minute track starts out like a folk song with tender acoustic guitar from Page and soft singing from Plant. Page proceeds to bridge the folk and hard rock portions of the song together with one of his best guitar solos, and the song closes with the typical driving riffs and hard-hitting drums that make the band sound timeless. The 5th track on the album is Misty Mountain Hop, another hard rock piece that includes references to J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, and features Jonesy on a Hohner electric piano. The next tune, 4 Sticks, was the least popular track on the album, and the band only played it live once because of the time signature frequently changing from 5/8 to 6/8 time, which took John Bonham a long time to master. They slowed things down with their 7th song, Going to California, a soothing folk song that Plant partly attributed to Joni Mitchell. When the Levee Breaks, the final track on the album, is commonly referred to as one of the greatest album closing tracks ever. This blues rock anthem features another thunderous bonzo drum intro that is especially unique because of the echo it includes from the large room in which the drums were recorded. Led Zeppelin IV was and still is one of the most influential albums in rock history. It seems clear that many young rock and metal fans have an appreciation of this music that spans the decades from the rock and metal's origins in the late 1960s to the present. While rock and music as a whole has changed greatly, since the 70s, one thing has and will remain: Led Zeppelin.